The Federal Reserve taking a pass, keeping short-term interest rates unchanged following its September meeting, which wrapped up on Thursday. But should investors brace for a liftoff later in 2015? Let's bring in Michael Hanson, senior U.S. economist at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Michael, nice to have you here. So no rate hike this time around, but will we see one later this year?
I think so. If you listen to how Yellen characterized the deliberation at the Fed, it sounds like they are very much leaning towards the likelihood of a rate hike later this year. You had 13 of 17 members thought they would have at least one rate hike this year. It's a little bit fewer than in July, or June rather, but it still is a sizable majority. So we're thinking December is probably the most likely date we'll see a Fed rate hike, given our expectations to date.
And you mentioned Janet Yellen in her press conference on Thursday. She said a liftoff during the October meeting is a possibility. Now, of course, Yellen is delivering a speech next Thursday in Massachusetts, and that could be a key moment, at least for setting the stage for the Fed's October meeting.
It's certainly a possibility. It wouldn't surprise me if she more or less reiterates what we had in the press conference, though. That tends to be the modus operandi. If you've got a speech pretty close after a meeting, even the chair doesn't typically deviate too much from the discussion that came out of that. But we could get some insight around the margins into sort of what things they're looking for on the global front that might give them more or less confidence, how they're assessing what's happened with the dollar, their labor market inflation outlook. So there's certainly some things that could come up.
Of course, unless the markets have some dramatic swings in the next couple of days, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair, right? And I think it's an interesting question, and I don't think the Fed has probably helped themselves too much in just how much market volatility is influencing Fed decisions. Because I think there's a little bit of a sentiment now that even a little bit of bad news might stop the Fed, and that's not, I think, the impression they're trying to give, but I think it may be the impression the market got as of yesterday.
And speaking of market volatility, I mean, do you think the Fed made a mistake here yesterday by not lifting? Now this drama, this uncertainty surrounding that initial rate hike is back with a vengeance.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, and I imagine Fed officials were trading that off in the deliberations they had and decided that they can kind of handle the potential volatility, and with a little bit better communications, maybe they can dampen that. So it was kind of the Faustian bargain they found themselves in because they just weren't comfortable enough, it sounds like, on the inflation front, and there was just enough worry on the global front that they weren't willing to pull the trigger. So they kind of had to accept that. Yeah,
what are you telling clients right now? I mean, what's next for the markets? More of this wait-and-see kind of environment about the timing of a 25 basis point hike rather than focusing on earnings or the fundamentals of the economy?
Oh, you're going to see some of both. I mean, the fact that the Fed didn't move does kind of take them out of the headlines that have been dominating for a little while. And so there'll be a little bit of transition. But you're right in the sense that because we still don't really know when the Fed is going to go and exactly what's going to get them to go or not, I think there's a little more uncertainty there than there was before, that this is going to be a background worry for the markets. And it's going to come up from time to time, and it certainly will again be elevated as we get into the October meeting, quite possibly into the December meeting. So we're some more of the same as we go forward.
All right, Michael, we'll be watching. We'll leave it there. Michael Hanson from Bank of America Merrill Lynch, good to have you with us.
Thanks, good.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.